so here we are Monday night, and as you saw in the previous episode, we did a lot of work at getting the buffet board, the mahogany board, shaped so that it would fit the counter space. And unfortunately I was not able to record everything because, as you can see here, I added the radius, and I was able to bullnose the entire outside edge all the way down, plus a little bit here as a transition from square to bullnose. So that's actually all done. We did a cleanup, and I did a rub down with 4O steel wool, and using some mineral spirits to kind of clear out the grain. That's why it looks a little darker than yesterday, because it's got a little bit of mineral spirits still in it, unfortunately. But today's goal, though, is to do a light sanding and get the first coat of polyurethane on. It'll be fine with the mineral spirits. I've dealt with that before, because then by tomorrow night it'll be ready for a more substantial coat. But I'm under a time crunch. I need to get this thing done by Thursday. So I've already done a little bit of sanding, a couple of little whoop-de-doos that I had to fix, and those are done. There's a couple of places where there's some irregularities, maybe from the belt sander or something. And this is a technique I learned in a guitar making class. This is actually a piece of microscope slide. I'm sure you can't see it very well on the camera there, but it's just a microscope slide, and the edge is going to be very sharp, and you can use that to scrape the raw wood to get a more uniform surface. It's kind of like a planer, but it's much less demanding on the surface. Need to get my gloves on, of course, so that it'll help to clean up the wood and get it ready for the polyurethane. And I even will quite often do this between like the first and second or even the third coat, just to make sure I'm getting a really consistent and uniform finish on the wood. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of planing here and check the board. And then if it feels like it's really ready to go, then we'll reset the camera, and then I'll set up the polyurethane and a roller and go ahead and roll this whole thing. We'll get this out of the way. Doesn't need to be there. Okay. And usually you just want to do a straight run down the grain to make sure. And you'll feel it. If you're hitting some sort of irregularity, you'll feel it. It'll start to wobble a little bit. And then the bullnose, by the way, I could not find a 3/4 inch round over routing bit that would fit my older 1/4 inch drive router. At least not one that was cost effective. And so I ended up just using a hand planer to get the rough shape, basically planing it down to a 3-sided facet across the curve, and then I used a belt sander to smooth it out further, and then I just hand sanded it to get it to the final shape. And you can't, the camera probably does not give it justice, but the curve, the bullnose and the curve are just so beautiful. I'm really happy with how the whole thing came out. Right there it feels a little rough. You can hear the sound difference. But now it's better. I'm just holding it in a 45-degree angle as I go back and forth. I alternate just to give it a little scrape. Well, that feels great. And then I've just been using some 220 grit on the bull nose just to make sure it's nice and smooth. This is the last real chance I have to sand the wood before that first coat goes on. After that, it's kind of game over. It's just going to come down to polyurethane and then whatever I can do with the glass between coats to help maintain a good finish. And most of this I learned just from doing lots of old furniture restoration. I've done about 20 now, and I learned a lot from trying to fix decades of changes that people have made to old furniture. It's just terrifying. You'll come across a piece of furniture from 100 or 150 years ago, and then there'll be just bizarre changes, modern hardware thrown in that just destroys the wood, and trying to take it all back out and get back to the original, and yeah, it's not fun. But you learn a lot. Sometimes what you're doing is meatball surgery. There we go. That's pretty dang good. Okay, so I'm going to reset the camera and then get ready for the first coat. Okay, so I've flipped it back around so that the bull nose is all on this side. This is the side that's going to face the dining room, so it's going to be more critical to make sure this gets rolled correctly, and then be able to do it from there. I prefer to use foam rollers, by the way. I don't know what some of you guys might like to use, but I've been getting a really beautiful kind of a orange peel finish when I use this kind of a roller, so I've switched to this exclusively. And then the brand I'm using here is this Helmsman clear gloss, water-based, indoor-outdoor spar urethane, and it's been a real durable finish. And you can put a hot plate on there that's got steam coming out the bottom, and it won't even hurt the finish. So it's been a real good choice. And then just make sure you start the back, right? That way you're not putting your clothing right in the finish as you go. And then try to do long rolls so you don't end up with funky gaps between. And this first roll doesn't need to be so thick. Just want to make sure you get everywhere. This wood, has been sitting for 50 or 60 years, and so it's going to soak up this urethane pretty well. And even if I leave a ridge of the varnish, I'll be scraping it down anyway with the glass later. So this first coat I'm not too concerned about. Just try to get it all on there. Make sure I get a good soak. And this end will not be seen. It's going to face the wall, so I don't need to roll that part. That's a little wet, and this is a little dry, so switch here. Now my dad, for many years, for the few pieces he worked on, he always used tung oil, T-U-N-G, to seal up his woodworking projects, and some of which were where he had refinished some wood furniture that my grandfather had made. My father's father was a carpenter and made furniture in the Boston area for many decades after he emigrated from Ireland. And that was what you used back then, tung oil. I've tried using it, and it's a challenging product to use. They still make it. Usually it comes in sort of a blend with like mineral spirits or something like that. And you have to put on many coats before it starts to build up enough to where you think it's going to be a stable finish. And even then, it's not going to be very durable against any kind of moisture. So if somebody puts a wet cup, with condensation, oops, then you got a big problem. You end up with white rings in your finish. I remember a cabinet my dad had built, speaker cabinets, and during parties people would put their cold drinks on the cabinet. Before the end of the evening they'd be all white with rings everywhere all over the surface. There we go. So like I said, this is just the initial soak-in coat, just to get the wood taking on, I won't say moisture, but taking on fluid. It's very dry, so it's going to soak it in like a sponge. So 24 hours later we'll come back and we'll do another coat, and my guess is it'll probably look like dry but dark wood. My guess by tomorrow, I think it won't look much better than it was, but that's just because the polyurethane is just soaking into those pores, the fibers. Okay, so that's going to do it for tonight's installment here of the Mahogany Buffet project. I'm just going to wipe up any drips that I may have had. That's the worst kind of a feel on a piece of furniture, is an accumulation of drips on the bottom edge. And since this is not going to be visible, we need to clean it. There we go. But that'll do it for tonight, and we'll be back tomorrow night for the second coat. And I'm going to get at least, what does it say, Monday? Say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so I'll get 3 whole coats of polyurethane on this before I install it in the kitchen. That should be a good durable surface ready for Christmas party on Friday. But thank you so much for those who are coming along to watch this series of videos, and please do like and then of course share the video with anyone else that you might think might be interested in this crazy project that I'm working on. And but most importantly, please do subscribe to the channel so that you can keep up on the progress. And then we have many other projects coming along. The garden chair project, that video went up last night, and we've got another segment coming up I think tomorrow. My wife is taking on the challenge of painting these chairs, and so she'll be doing some photos and video of that process. And so we'll have a video from there we can upload tomorrow. Anyway, have a great week. Merry Christmas, and talk to you soon.